I just want to thank everyone for joining this webinar. I'm Joe LoGrasso. I'm the Managing Director of 2110 Solutions and a partner with Bridge Technologies covering North America. And today we're joined by Marcus Mathiassen, and he's one of the lead developers and strategists with Bridge Technologies. So, hello, Marcus.
Hi, Joe. It's good to be here. I'm excited for today. I think it's going to be good.
Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be great. We have a lot to talk about and a lot of ground to cover. So I'm just going to dive right in. There's so much going on with the ST2110 and IP specifically, and how it's an enabling so much that we want to do coming forward in the industry. It's reducing cabling, obviously, it's reducing power, it's reducing footprint in many cases. It's offering so much more flexibility in terms of operational flexibility. So it goes on and on and on. And today we're going to be using the 440 as a springboard to talk about some of those things that I just mentioned. But one of the things that I wanted to start out with is again, it's Bridge likes to say they like to make the complex simple, and that's so true with what they're bringing forward. And one of the things that's very simple when you think about it is a web browser, right? But when a web browser is used strategically and it's used in the right way using HTML5, it really gives you so much flexibility and versatility. It frees you up in so many different ways. So maybe you could, because I know you're at the heart and center of that, and maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, for the people who don't know what the 440 is, I can show you a quick view of it so you get an idea what it is and how it works.
Yeah, thank you. That's a good place to start because I kind of skipped over that. And for those that maybe are not familiar, it's a good, high level, quick overview.
So I hope everyone can see my screen right now. And what I'm showing right now is a web view of the 440. This is one that is down in our lab downstairs. And here you can see all the 2110 flows that are on the network, video, audio, ancillary, all grouped into services, which we have at the bottom here, where you can quickly go through them. You have a real-time view of the video, and then you have measurements and statistics about those specific flows. So you can look for packet errors and see them over time, or see if there has been any format changes for that specific video flow. So the 440 is an engineering tool and a test and measurement device specifically for 2110. And it has basically been that since like 2017. And we've just been adding on and on to that. But what we're talking about today is actually the flexibility afforded to us by the way we designed the 440, by our usage of the browser as a platform, and how using just the simple primitives that come with it, you can compose a lot of different views that suit different workflows and different use cases. Um, so I think, Joey, we can take him through that now, and
Yeah,
then we'll show them
yeah.
more about the 440.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're talking about some of those different use cases that bringing some capabilities and features into the 440 just with an Ethernet control. Um, for example, the single pane of glass. The single pane of glass is an extension of a feature called canvas mode. And going directly to the 440 with Ethernet and using canvas mode, you can have a very elegant and straightforward with a ProRes P3 type display. So you can have high resolution. You can use it for your program, your waveform vector, your diamond display, your quad split. Now, some people have implemented this, and it was used at the FIFA games, and they had a high resolution monitor up above for program. And but they still used the single pane of glass for their representation, their instrument views, their waveform vectors, their preview, and their quad split. It's all clean switching, and it'll work with any RCP controller, and so that's very streamlined. And the cool part about it is that today it can be used, and for in a REMI environment or remote production environment, it doesn't take up a lot of footprint. It eliminates a lot of audio uh, um, support, reinforcement, because it's 64 channels of audio and video all over Ethernet. So that's tremendously powerful. So today it could be a camera shading station. Tomorrow, with the press of a button, you could have it set up as a speaker control environment, a mixing control environment. So if you go to the AES 67 immersive audio speaker control, again, over Ethernet, you have 64 channels of speaker control and audio control with soloing individual channels. You can make different combinations of 5.1, 5.2, 7.2, whatever it is that you need. You can down mix. You have Dolby, you have Atmos control, everything all over Ethernet. And so that is pretty powerful. And like I said, today it can be, for a REMI environment, it could be a camera shading station. Tomorrow it could be an audio mixing station, or it could be a QC station. So you're highlighting now a little bit of the canvas mode. Why don't you take us through that and show everyone how easy it is to create these layouts?
Yes, I mean, so what you saw with the single pane of glass, which is basically a way to have a single view with all your sources at the bottom and your dynamic switching source at the top, where you can look at, I mean, you can look at the specific cameras using the paddles, for example, for the switching. That is all built on the canvas. So the canvas is our way to let shader operators set up their own views easily on the iPad or on the desktop. You set up how you want them with the tools you want them, and then you can control it. This is meant to be interactive, right? This is not just some static thing you put up. You put it up in the layout you want, and then you can have the interactive controls. You can change the intensity, stuff like that. But the cool part about it is that the single pane of glass is actually just this view. Turn on the side. We turn the monitor on the side, full screen it, so we have more vertical space to work on. But it's still all used in the normal canvas interface. And the switching you see between the services, so I can quickly switch now, like for example, through some services here. I can select a different service at the bottom here. This switching and now is being done by me clicking on the services. But by connecting it up to external control paddles or using an external API, you can then control the service through the API. So that's how you can have the paddles changing the service you're looking at, as we showed at the IBC demo and the picture you just showed. So this is just the APIs talking together and our primitives, basically letting you compose it how you want to. And it's really powerful specifically now.
Yeah, and one of the other capabilities we showed at IBC recently was what was called Mosaics. Now, Mosaics is a multi-viewer, but it's a multi-viewer that's coming directly out of the VB440. So we showed 24 pips, and we showed it in a Google web browser, high quality 10-bit. But what was unique about it is that you could focus on any of your sources. If there was an issue with a particular source and you had an alarm, or you had a problem with the audio or the video, you could dive in directly. You can see in the image below there, they're using the P3 iPad display to dive in and analyze the particular source that you wanted to go into at any given time. So you can have all your instrument views, you can have your PTP timing, you can have your your jitter, you could have your all your analytics right in front of you, and you can quickly go to them, and that's crazy valuable.
I mean, the mosaics, the one you're seeing right now, is part of. We showed it off at IBC this year for the first time, and it's part of the vision we think is where you can use a single product like the 440, for example, and the way it has the APIs available and everything, you can then compose the different views like the mosaic or the canvas, and this is part of that solution where you can have your big two screens up with your presence detection. You have your 24 sources, you have your audio flows, whatever you need to see that the signals actually has data on them and that everything is coming in. And then you have your single pane of glass for the shading positions with your panels, with the RCP controlling the surfaces. And then what we haven't talked about yet is probably the audio controller part of that, which is also part of the solution, where you can have a single device providing the surfaces and the tools you need for every part of the workflow. Right. So what you're seeing here is the iPad being the control surface for the mosaic. And the mosaic is not some static view with just some sources up on them all the
Right,
time.
it's dynamic.
It's dynamic. So it can react to the packet drops and it can pull different sources into focus based on the flow itself and the characteristics of that flow. So if you have a flow with a lot of drops, or if you have lost some signal, we can then pull that into focus because that's more interesting than the other flows because you're using
Yeah.
just for presence. But
Well,
when you
some
see,
people refer to this as a doghouse or a penalty
yeah,
box, but this can be integrated into an IP wall. But the what you just referred to as the focus mode, that is critical because then you can dive in to that source, and whether it's audio or video, find out what's going on. That leads me into the next feature that we showed at well, we actually showed it a while ago, but we had it at IBC as well. It's actually more refined at IBC, which is the AV Sync. So with the signal generator, there's an add-on, free of charge add-on. So the signal generator provides you all of your uh, signal sources in any resolution and any frame rate. This year, they've enabled HDR capability, and they enabled 2022-7. They added some more logos. People wanted the facility putting up more IDs on top of it and over it. So take us through a little bit of what we've done. Oh, we've added also ancillary data to AV Sync. Show us what AV Sync is all about and why it's so powerful.
yeah. So let me share my screen again here, and I can talk you through it. Like Joe said, we showed this off at NAB and IBC this year. This is basically 440 taking its signal generator, which you can have 5 of, and we can embed timing metadata into the signal, into the video, and also into each audio channel. And then you can send that signal through your pipeline. It doesn't need to be the same 440. Back to a 440, and we can decode the amount of time that is taken to send the signal, and also the amount of skew that has happened on the RTP timestamps through that path. So what we're showing now, this is the timeline view, basically, of this single flow. So this is our AV sync signal that we've sent through a Selenium box to make some synthetic delay onto the signal for the demo purposes, and then it's back to a 440. And here we can see the delay that has happened on the video, which if I zoom in, we can see it's 60 milliseconds has been the transmission time. And you can see the amount of frames, 3 frames delayed. And then you can see the relative delay from the video to the audio channels through the timeline view. And here you can select your reference point. So you use, let's say you just want to align 2 channels inside of like an 8-channel flow. You can just pick the reference you want to look at and align the ones you want to align instead of having to always align to the video. See, even if you don't have video here, it will still just work. And this allows you to see, like I said, not only the transmit time, but the timestamp skew that has happened. And that is kind of important. So if I zoom in here, we can see 2 measurements here. One is the line, which is the transmit time. But we also display, which is the tags here, the timestamp and how much that has been skewed through the pipeline. And some devices, they do read timestamp and some do not. And seeing the difference is really important. So this view is not only meant to be like a static view, it's really responsive as well. So it will real-time update to the delay that's happening on the signal. So if you have like an analog thing you can twist on to add like 5 milliseconds of delay, you can see that instantly, basically. And we think it's going to be a really nice tool for people. And it's just one more tool you can replace with the 440, which we're really excited about.
Yeah, and
So yeah, that's the AV-Sync.
and as I mentioned, sync generator, you get five sync generators with the option. It's a licensed option, and the AV Sync comes along for the ride, so to speak. It's free of charge, so there's no additional charge, and the sync generator is very inexpensive. So it's quite a feature, quite a capability for not a lot of money. The other thing I wanted to go back to something I mentioned earlier, and if we could bring up that slide of speaker control. Um, Speaker control is something that, again, directly from the 440, it's AS67. It enables immersive audio. So you have 64 channels of immersive audio that you can combine in any combination. You can solo your individual audio channels. You can group them together in, 5.1.2 or 7.1.4, whatever combination that you need to work with. And you can down mix your audio and quite and Dolby Atmos all supported free of charge. And again, the point being, again, this is all built into the 440. It no extra charge. Same thing with Canvas mode. No extra charge, and it's incredibly powerful. And and the audio knob. We only enabled one at IBC. Now you can have multiple audio volume controls anywhere within the environment. So you can control the overall room level. You can control individual channels. You can control groups of channels that you've soloed, all with the speaker control knob, which is very important. And they took a lot of effort to make it right. So you had the really good feel and tactility of that volume audio knob. It seems, again, simple, but it's not so easy to actually accomplish, and all over Ethernet control. So that's really cool. So yeah, so I just wanted to kind of
Yeah, Joe, I just want
go
to add
ahead.
to that
Go,
because
go.
the audio control is kind of exciting with the view and the way we think things are going to work together. So the audio controller is part of the mosaic. It's part of the single pane of glass idea, where in the office downstairs we have what we call the M-Knock, which is basically a glass cockpit with two big screens up on the wall. We have the control desk with the camera control units, and then we have iPads mounted up. The iPads are the control surfaces for both the mosaic and for the canvas views and for routing services. And the audio controller is basically part of that solution as well, because in this type of setup, we also have some smart IP speakers. We have a studio setup with some speakers we really want to use. And using the 440 today, you would just listen through the browser, right? You can listen back in the browser if that is on the iPad or your laptop or whatever. But if you have a speaker setup, like a smart IP speaker setup, you can route the audio. Instead of listening through the browser, you can route the audio from the 440 straight to the speakers. And you do the audio routing, the selecting of what you want to listen to, using the 440 as normal. So I'm going to share my screen now so you get an idea of how that looks like. So this is the canvas view, right? The canvas view
Yep.
allows you to listen back to audio. So now I've set up multiple flows from the 440. I've just set them up here so I can click through them and listen back to them. And you select the one you want to listen to, and I can then click the volume knob here to get some audio out. But with the audio control, instead of playing it through the browser, we'll play it through your speakers. But you can still do all the routing here. And the routing doesn't need to be you clicking. It could be through RGP controls. It could be through any type of thing that can change the service that the audio is listening to. So now you can use your control paddles to switch the audio routing, right? So it's the flexibility that is provided there by using the APIs and by using the primitives we have. We're able to set up all these integrations that come together as a whole in the end. And the audio controller, the mosaic, the canvas view, and the glass cockpit are all like part of this idea we're trying to bring forth.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
just wanted to add to that. Yeah.
No, I'm glad you did, and again, it goes to the motto, making the complex simple, and not charging an arm and a leg for it. It also in the big picture, in terms of the advantages in cutting down on the amount of cabling, weight, flexibility, footprint, power, all of that plays into it. You're obviously in some cases you're replacing equipment that has been used, for forever in terms of sound reinforcement and in the area of AV sync. Being able to do this all over the network. Very quickly, you may want to show over the network. I mean, doing the PCAP capture and being able to do a quick download of anything over the network with the PCAP capture because that's very handy.
Okay, so this is part of the engineering side of the 440. I mean, this is still like the DNA of the 440. This is where we started. And the 440 has the ability to take PCAPs of any 2110 flow or any other like dash 6 flow you have on the network. And the cool part is you do it through the browser, right? So you can set up a capture here and then you can download it. And this way you can have, and we have scenarios where we've had engineers basically they log onto the probe using their phone from home or wherever they are. And then they can go into the specific flow that has a problem, which is probably reported by somebody else. And they go into the flow, they can take a PCAP, download it to their phone, and then email it to somebody who are at a computer or have like Wireshark open. That has actually been something people have been doing. And I think having all these engineering tools in the browser means it's also available on your phone. And the tool you usually reach for is the tool you have and the tool you have available. And a lot of times that is your phone. So it opens just up a lot of possibilities instead of being locked down, instead of having to VLC into a single user type of display where only one can be in at the time. Having this just be open and having basically the licenses as well be based on the resources you use instead of being locked down to the users itself. I think that is a very nice way to do things, and I think it opens up a lot of possibility for us when it comes to
Yeah.
designing these things. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to show that because again, web browser based, HTML5, and it's available for anyone over the network that has access to it. The other question that comes up a lot is SDP files and the ability to analyze or to compare and to know what's in that SDP file. That's a question that people struggle with quite often. And we've been able to really take that head on. And it's always a delicate thing because you don't know what's coming down the pike and you don't know what the intention was, if you will, but you have to go by something. And the SDP file is really the uh, the standard by which you need to go by.
Yeah, I mean the 440 through the years, there's been a lot of improvements that has happened to how pedantic you are when it comes to SDP files. And in the 440, we've just decided to actually just do the checking ourselves when it comes to the how compliant you are, because it turns out a lot of producers and senders are not really compliant when it comes to how you should format your SDP files. So this is again just an engineering tool the 440 has, and even for routed NMOS streams, this is actually just a signal generator. And when you have a loopback on it, we show you the SDP files as well, just to make that easy to see. But for the routed NMOS streams, you can actually go also in and edit them in this view to make sure that any change you do is actually going to be compliant as well. So you can patch in your faulty SDP files here, and then you can edit them until you get a green check mark at the end, and then you know you're good. But
Right.
yeah,
Right.
it's just
While
another
you're there,
engineering tool the 440 has.
while you're there, just point to, I wanted to highlight the hover cards. What we refer to as that is a hover card, but those hover cards appear everywhere throughout the user interface, and they are directives based on the ST2110 standard. Because if someone's looking at something, whether it's something in the instrument view, and they're looking at jitter, they're looking at RTP timing or something like that. That is going to tell you what you're looking at based on the ST2110 standard. So very informative. Not everybody, and even I can't remember everything and all of the details of the ST2110 standard, but it's really great to have that there because it's a primer that's online and ready to go all the time to at least give you some information and bring it back to memory. And you go, oh yeah, oh that's right, that's what that is. Okay, I remember now. And then you can continue with what you're doing. That's invaluable. That I love that.
Yeah, I mean, we try to explain things as best as we can, and I think one way to explain it is to tell you about the possibilities a field can have, for example, and that is something we do a lot in the metadata view of streams. And you saw it just now in the flow section here, where we can tell you not only the current option, but also the possible values this thing can have. And that gives you an overview of what you can do, what is not available, or what is not supported or standardized. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what I originally started with when I was talking about the that major sports media company that chases that little ball around with a stick around a fairway. They built a new IP facility, and when you get into it and you see how they've implemented it in their ecosystem, and that the 440 is the heart and center of their workflow, you quickly realize and why some of the engineers and operators made statements like, well, I couldn't do my job. I couldn't run this facility without the 440 at the center of it. So having said that, I just wanted to, we talked a little bit about the EII, the external integration interface, which is standard with every Bridge Technologies 440. But there's also the API, and the API allows you to pull out different aspects of the technology, whether it's the instrument views or the waveform vector scopes. But and most have chosen to implement it in the way that they've wanted to. For example, NEP has a control system called TFC, and they basically have chosen to implement the whole EII, and the XML data of the 440, and they've incorporated it into their control system. And they've had the if you go to the next yeah, that one, they have the L bar, so integrated together with the NMOS um, within the facility, everything just follows. So if you're working with any devices within your facility, your encoders, your decoders, switching, routing, everything follows and is right in front of you. So if there is a situation where something is not right and you need to drill down and analyze that signal immediately, this is the reason why they've done it this way.
Yeah, that is the, I mean, the way NLP did it here is really nice because then they can have the video full screen, for example, in this view, and then they will just have the routing and the video. But since they have it, the whole UI, they can go out of the full screen and go into the timing details very easily. So it's a really nice way they did it. But we also have other people who do it differently. They're just interested in the video or the vector scopes or the waveform scopes, and they just pull those things out and then add
Right.
those into their product. So um, it's people can choose how they want to integrate it, but the flexibility of it is apparent.
Right, and as I alluded to, they can choose to do the complete UI and web interface, use the web interface, or they can use the API, as you just mentioned. There's others, like you said, we're completely agnostic. I mean, this is not a promotion for NEP's TFC, but there's Data Miner has done something very similar with their interface, which is very powerful. There's a high system controller that was just acquired by Riddle at this past IBC, and high as it's not as known in the US, but I think it will be because it's a very elegant and powerful controller, and they've implemented the UI inside of their controller. EVS has done it with Cerebrum. I don't have a picture of that, but they showed that at IBC, and they showed the VB440 integrated into their environment. A lot of people doing some very interesting things, pulling out various aspects, whether it's the analytics and the instrument views or the waveform vectors, as you were mentioning, or just choosing to implement the whole UI using the HTML5 and the web interface instructions that we provide. There's a real world application. I just wanted to point to the FIFA games. I thought would be interesting to see an actual application. If you could bring up slide 15, which is an application that was done at the FIFA games, where they incorporated the canvas mode into the environment. So all of the camera control stations, in this case, they had their program monitor and their quad split and their waveform vector in front of the camera operator, and doing all of their shading for the games. Again, very streamlined and very effective, and being able to directly get in and analyze the signal. The other one is one of a mobile truck, an all IP mobile truck. That's the next one, and similar in all IP environment with the camera shading and using the iPads. We have different dual mounts, single mounts. We have a VESA gas arm mount for the iPads, and the P3 display iPads are really, really good, and have, maybe not quite there yet, replacing an HDR high res monitor, but good enough to do analysis on, and they take up a very small footprint, and are just easy to use and swap out if need be. So I think we covered a lot of ground. Anything else you wanted to add that I might have missed or forgotten to touch on?
No, I think we've covered it. The power that comes from composability, I mean, is I think the most important part. The browser-based way to do things has proven to actually be so flexible that we didn't really know that it was going to work out at the start. But it has proven to be very viable solution to have long running and have a complete facility basically, or a complete setup be powered by browser tools. And especially when it comes to presence for the mosaic or the canvas view, it has been invaluable to us. So we're really happy about the choice we made in that sense. But I
Yeah,
think we've covered it all. Yeah.
yeah, it just, I'm excited for the future, and the what you know the browser-based environment and is going to bring forward. It's all, as we've showed and highlighted a number of them today, and we're only at the starting gate. It's going to bring forward a lot more features, a lot more capabilities, and streamline the workflow tremendously. And that's really what we're talking about. We're talking about streamlining workflow and making it more efficient, making it more intelligent, and less expensive. Everyone was complaining the ST2110 is going to be more expensive, but a lot of things we're talking about are making it less expensive. So anyway, we'll wrap it up. Marcus, thank you. Really appreciate you taking the time to do this, and I appreciate all of the hard work you put into it on a daily basis. So we will see you at NAB New York, I guess, is the next major event.
Yes, it is. Mm.
Thanks everybody for joining. And if you have any follow-up questions, just send them to Joe at 2110solutions.com. And Marcus and I would be happy to answer them. So once again, it's Joe at 2110solutions.com. Thanks for taking the time and spending this hour with us today.